Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3, Murder Tips by Joe Carnes. We're Old Man and Skinny Guy.
I'm Old Man.
And I'm the Skinny Guy.
And today we interviewed Team Waerloga. These are the owners, operators, and storytellers of the Waerloga LARP out of New Jersey. We had mentioned them on our first podcast, but this is their actual interview. We sat down with them and we had a pretty interesting conversation with them, to say the least.
It meandered well at times.
But it did. That is where it will make sense why the title of the episode is called "Murder Tips" by Joe Carnes.
Yes.
One of the things that we want to just forewarn you guys about as you're listening to the episode, there is some issue. We did have some issues with sound quality. So there were 6 people in the room, as you would expect. You know, we are starting podcasts, so we didn't have microphones for everyone. So we had one of our omnidirectional mics that we did. So you will hear some people sound louder than others, so we want to apologize for that sound quality, but I do promise that you can actually hear everyone very clearly. One of the other things that we want to prepare you for as you're listening is, while we don't censor ourselves at all when we're having these discussions, you will get a few beeps, the actual censor beeps in there, and that's specifically because there's some story things.
There's some information that they told us about that is redacted from the episode because the players of their game don't know it yet.
Yes, exactly. So we want to just prepare you because it could be jarring as you're listening to all of a sudden hear beep, and it's not like a subtle beep. It is at all. But definitely you'll understand why, and that's actually discussed in the episode. So we wanted to kind of give you the heads up.
And we want to go ahead and thank our patrons, as usual. Joey, as one of the members of Team Waerloga, was one of our very first patrons, so we'll give him a second little thank you. We'd also like to invite everyone to come down to Skinny Guy's bulletin board on our website. That's where we first introduced you guys to Waerloga. Tell us about what games are going on in your area that you're involved with, and we'll be glad to talk about them here on the intro. So,
off the bulletin board, we also want to talk a little bit about a game that we found online, and it's kind of interesting. Again, this is something we haven't ever played yet. I mean, it's actually now free to download. I'll give you a little brief history. So, the name of the game is called The Card Game That Can't Be Named, because of copyright reasons. It was originally called Cards Against the Muggles, and that probably gives you a very good context of what this game is about.
Yeah, it's a Cards Against Humanity style game with some Harry Potter theming that may have got them in some trouble initially.
Yeah, so they originally were Cards Against Muggles, and it was, you had to pay for the actual download, but now,
due to legal interactions, it's now going to be free.
Yay! So the website is campprojectsllc.com, and you can actually download it for free. It's about 500 cards. It's in a PDF format, and you can print it on business card template paper. So it'll be very easy for you to print out. It's going to take a lot of ink, I'll tell you that right now. But they have some really funny cards. One of the cards, just to give you an idea, so if you're familiar with playing Cards Against Humanity, you have your initial card, and then there's the blank that you have to fill in. So the one that I'm looking at on the website right now, it says, I often use the pensieve to look at my memory of blank. And some of the cards that they have is punching Dumbledore in the face, or throwing the sorting hat into the Black Lake because it sorted you into Hufflepuff, or an engorged pygmy puff attacking Hogsmeade. So these are kind of some of the cards to kind of give you an idea of what you'll be playing if this is something you're interested in.
So if you're a fan of Cards Against Humanity as a style of game and Harry Potter, maybe check this out.
Yep, it'll be fun. It looks fun. So with that, we're going to go right into episode 3, Murder Tips by Joe Carnes. Enjoy the show. So we're going to have these wonderful folks who are sitting here with us actually introduce themselves, or we're going to go around the table. So,
first, my name is Joe Carnes. I'm the younger brother of Ken Carnes, who will be introduced last.
Could be.
Hi, I'm Kime. I hang out with these jokers.
I'm Luna. I'm Ken's wife and Joe's sister-in-law.
I'm Ken Carnes. I helped create the LARP Waerloga.
All right, and these guys are going to be talking a little bit about their gaming in general, some weirdly specific things about our LARP communities in this area, and there's more to come.
Yeah.
and is it Waerloga or
Yes.
Waerloga?
Waerloga.
Waluigi.
Well,
Yeah.
nice.
Wham.
I want to come play Waluigi.
Or
That's what the players are
Waterlog.
calling it now.
Waterlogged
Yeah,
is
they're calling it
also our
waterlogged
joke.
for a while. That one was a kit.
If
That was
our
a kit.
joke nickname is Waluigi or Waterlogged, we're actually doing pretty good for a lot. It's already like
Oh yeah.
a measuring stick that other people don't get.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure our worst one is grapes.
Grapes. For a very weird in-joke.
A very weird in-joke that happened on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean,
Gallifrey and Grapes.
Yeah, what's the name of the town? Grapes.
Wait, what?
The town in-game is called Gallifrey. This slowly got transmuted into Grapes.
They
Somewhere along
were
the
holding
The town of grapes?
Yes.
They were holding an in-town vote to name the town, and it just went downhill real quick.
This is what happens when you have players making decisions.
And we let them do it.
Oh, yeah.
We still
Yeah.
did.
players making decisions is a great thing.
It's
Oh
the
yeah,
best
that's
thing.
But,
most of our game right
yeah,
now,
But,
actually.
you know, gamers being gamers, it will always go in a direction.
Referential everything is kind of the best way to do it.
Yeah.
We had the very hard stance of, well, I mean, Ken's the in-game Duke, so he always has the right to say no. And that solved the problem real quick.
Yeah.
I want to name it something stupid.
No.
No.
So basically, you're just like the regal duke, and you sit there. Yeah.
Sandwich.
Regal.
Yeah.
Regal's a little.
whoa, we got-
I mean,
I got you
I'm
that nice
dapper.
doublet.
I'm dapper.
That's a nice
Ooh.
doublet, sir. Like, I managed to get that for you.
So you're the dapper duke.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. So
Just
it's
imagining you with like hair grease now. Like,
I was imagining like the zebra striped hat. And, yeah.
No, I've got the
cane.
mushroom cap actually.
Oh, okay.
Like a muffin hat.
muffin hat.
Yeah, muffin
Yeah.
hat.
Nice.
Where the
It had a feather for the longest time that falls out every other game.
So, but I was at the New Jersey Renaissance Fair, and there's this random stand, and in the tucked back corner was muffin hats, and that was it for like $15. I'm like, wow, affordable LARP clothing. And so I like find the biggest one, and I'm like, perfect. And it just sits down the entire left side of my face, and I go, Ken will like this hat.
This will fit his head.
Yeah, but it fits a Carnes-sized head.
So thank you guys so much for accepting our invite to come down and sit with us and shoot the shit about Waerloga. Really, I mean, just kind of a primer. Have you guys heard like our episode 0 yet?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's the only thing that exists at the time of recording.
And
I know.
and that creepy animation.
Yeah.
Thank you, animation.
Yeah.
Do you like the creepy animations?
No. No,
Is it because it's creepy?
I got an email. I'm like, Brendan wants to thank you. I'm like, does he? He can just call me. Then I found out, it's a pre-recorded. Oh, I shouldn't watch this at work. It's very weird.
It was again the NPR voice, just like this robot saying, "Thank you."
Oh no! The robot voice much creepier. Like that comes
Oh
with that
yeah,
program.
there's a base like just voice that it has.
Oh.
The Microsoft Sam voice, or like
Something.
Kind of like
It's
a
something.
Mongolian kind
I
of.
don't know what it is, but it is creepy as hell. Like, but we had to sit there and debate: do we keep that voice? Do we record over it? I think we need to record
over
It
it.
was a good idea to record, yeah.
Also, like, I'm never good in front of recording equipment, so great idea that I'm on a podcast.
great. That's a good start.
Although it is
Yeah.
kind of sad because, like, you're such a visual storyteller, like, with the way you move about
no
and,
one
like,
can
talk
see
with your
my
hands.
flailing, or the fact that I currently have a beer in each hand.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's very
And
sad.
look, we're slowly building up to actual video. He doesn't know that yet, except now he knows that. So
So that microphone has just been always.
and look, when I think I was the one that said we should put googly eyes on that, and he was like very adamant against that. Like, it'll be staring at me. No.
Tell me this microphone doesn't look like the droid that answers Jabba's door.
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
We're actually we want to promote what folks are doing, their games, events, things that they're doing.
And you guys, like I said, you guys were like the first people we thought of when we were like, hey, we're gonna do a podcast. We need to get them on. So tell us a little bit about like where the idea came from.
Well, number one, how many events have you guys run right now?
We're hitting our 1 year next month.
Which our 1 year is 6 events.
Yes,
Because we
event
try to
6.
run every other month
Yeah.
because there's too many goddamn LARPs in New Jersey.
There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's not financially worth it, and it's a lot more fun for us
Yeah, to not kill
to
ourselves.
not kill ourselves running an every other month thing. So that way we just
Event
enjoy it
6
more.
is August 18th through the 20th. So.
give it a solid date this recording.
Yeah, definitely will happen, seeing as our first episode isn't dropping till September.
Well, so there you go. Well, we're
Our one after that is in September.
September.
Ooh, and then the next one is in October.
Nice.
2 weeks later, we're going to die.
And then we're not going to play again until January because we want to take breaks and we don't want to kill ourselves.
Yeah. So is this like a passion project for you guys? Because I know you guys have been gaming longer than I have, probably.
I've been LARPing for a decade. Since I was
Collectively,
14.
I figured out we've pretty much been LARPing collectively between me and you about 25 years plus.
About that, yeah.
That's not even counting me and
Yeah.
Kime. So.
Time's been what, 3, 4,
4 or 5 at this
4,
point.
4 or 5 at this point.
Yeah.
Luna,
Because-
you
Me and
were-
Luna pretty much the same amount of time. I did it slightly before her because of Aura.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
fair
I
enough.
started when I was
That's
like
right.
17.
One of the main reasons that we are successful is because I've just been LARPing for a decade and going to different LARPs.
And
A
you
bunch
have-
of them are closed.
You have a habit of showing up like on Saturday for like a couple hours, or like
Yeah.
I'll only know you're there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then sometime that night you'll be like, bye.
Yeah. That's about right. The last time I went to Doomsday, I literally got there at like maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we stayed, and then left at like 9, and I maybe saw you once.
Yeah.
And
you were NPCing at the time.
Yes. So even though I was doing literally everything running around the campsite, I only saw you like one time. And that's not a big campsite by any means.
No, but
Yeah.
that's more to the point that I don't move around.
That's,
It was kind of impressive how
don't go
little
on
we saw
mods.
you,
That's
actually.
fair. But like when we promoted Waerloga, this was over 3 years ago. The first time we had
Yeah.
people look at it.
When we created the Facebook group.
Yeah, when we created the Facebook group, it was like, hey, check out this thing. We want to do this eventually. No idea when. And we had like, our local friends, so maybe like 20 people were looking
Yeah,
at
I
it.
mean, I remember seeing
Yeah.
early drafts.
Our
of
initial
things.
our initial idea of the actual game was, okay, there's this place called Upper Hackett's Park that has a pavilion and these monuments.
And it has little trailways.
A little trail going into the woods in some places.
And frisbee golf.
And frisbee golf. And our idea was we're going to just get everyone to that pavilion and be like, okay, here's where we're setting up the town. What is everyone doing? And then we would write mods almost pretty much on
like,
the
yeah,
spot.
we had like a plan, but it was entirely just everyone meets up for Saturday. We were expecting maybe 10 to 15 people. And then 3 years down the line, I was helping rules. I was the second rules team for a LARP called Faeglen. I was on and off helping another LARP called Nocturne, so it just never panned out. But what originally started this was I was driving home. We were driving home from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I was telling him about the event, how everyone needed to put their blood in a cup and do a thing against
You're talking about
vampires.
Nocturne, yeah.
Yes. So then I said, yeah, we all put our blood in, but then I mentioned that then everyone just got healed up. So
And I went, you know what's stupid? The fact that hit points are your blood.
and this is many LARP things like in fantasy is like, oh, I cut myself, deal myself 5 damage, and then
Here's
someone
5
just healed. So
points
here's
of blood.
5 points of blood, and then I just get healed back. So it's like, oh, my blood came back into my body.
It's like more blood means I'm more healthy.
so then
More organs means
I
more
have
payment.
more. I'm healthy. I have 3 livers.
yeah.
Dude, that's actually a
chock full
joke
of
from a
blood.
couple of players at Doomsday.
Yeah.
They play androids that are designed after like college bros.
Yep.
They're referred to as the brobots.
Mm-hmm.
And because they don't actually understand like what it is to be alive, they think that healing people means, oh, you spilled some blood, we'll give you more blood. And they just chant more blood like you're gonna chug, just like
Chug that out.
But essentially,
That
from
was-
that, we went, you know what? Maybe there's a blood system we could create. And that kind of became the start of our LARP. Was everyone has so much blood, and if you run out of blood, you die.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's our bleed out mechanic of it seems like a lot because we're like every human in the game has a base 10 blood points, and that's 10 minutes of bleeding out, which on a lot of games that's a long time.
It's a very long time.
But then we
It's
also
a long time to be sitting on the ground outside.
yes. And so it seems like a lot at first, but then a minute 2 goes by, nothing but you get healed up. But then
Because every minute you're bleeding out, you lose that blood. It doesn't come back. So
that's
if you bleed out for a minute, you're down to 9 blood.
Like forever.
For the rest of the event, you get 1 back every period change.
And so
It comes back
every
slowly.
like 4 to 6 hours, you get back 1, or if you get resurrected, you go back to full because you died.
Right, yeah.
But that's so
Because that time you really did get fresh,
Yeah.
brand new
Yeah.
blood.
So that way
Brand new
people
body and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, so people are like going around like, oh, whatever, I'll drain some blood for this ritual, and then people are like, oh, I'm down to 6 minutes, and it's only been 4 hours. Oh, I have a problem.
It's like a risk reward
Yeah,
system.
so that they'll do stuff for
Some
it.
of the other fun things with we're a campaign style where people call their damage. So there's the damage type that's just poison, and if you take your last hit point of damage from poison, you lose half your blood when you fall.
That was flat out.
So we had a guy who there's a jungle gym set
on
down
our tiny
campground,
campsite.
Nice.
like full on Putty Patrol Power Ranger fight style one with
Oh,
stairs
nice.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Do you
like
just
a
rig it
bridge
with
shit.
like superfluous fireworks?
Not sure yet. but we should.
Yes.
But we had jellyfish going around
Because there was like,
the
it was
entire
like a
place
flood
was flooded,
area.
and the jellyfish just swung poison at all times. And so what happened is he got knocked down with poison on the jungle gym, and the jellyfish just kind of was hovering there, and someone threw a healing spell that got him back up just by, it's like, oh, I'm not dying now, and the jellyfish just went, pat, 2 poison, knocked him back down, so he went from 10 to 5 to 2.
Because it rounds down, and 2s are critical, which I know most people who may not be listening to this, critical is you need something better to get healed out of, like in Doomsday or whatever.
Yeah, in a lot of the LARP games that I've gone to, sort of the death and dying mechanics, or you've got hit points, and until you hit 0, you can do whatever. You're fine. When you hit 0, you're on the ground in some way.
Yeah.
Some games you're still conscious for a little while. Some games you're immediately like unconscious, but you're slowly dying. You've got like a timer running now. And at a certain point, your timer goes from regular healing skills work to specific, I'm about to die, brink of death healing
Only
skills.
certain things can fix me.
Yeah.
Yep. And so he hit that maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday, and we don't stop playing till noon Sunday. So he was like, oh, and then was running away from everything. And it worked out still. He still had a good time overall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
but he got that thrill of, oh no, I'm in a lot of danger.
at all times now.
Yeah.
there's no one in our game, as of right now, that thinks of death as an actual punishment because of how our death system actually works.
So we came up with a long time ago. This was back 3 years again. I like the tarot cards, just like the Major Arcana. I always liked how they read, but specifically Ogre Tactics for the PlayStation 1 and Ogre Battle for the Super Nintendo. You got to, at the very beginning of the game, you drew 1 card, and that was like your character's thing, and you got the cards did something in the game, and so we came up with 22 different death quote-unquote benefits.
Okay.
So when you do your death,
Oh,
you're
it should also be said, in game, no one knows you can come back from the dead.
oh yeah, so
So it has no one in the game actually.
No, we
It's
had to-
expensive and rare.
Yeah.
yeah,
so-
we plotted it so that way it's like, no, if you get resurrected, it's like someone paid for you and they paid a lot of money because this is
Like,
something that only
you have
important
to be,
people get.
You have to be a king or better to possibly even.
It's Pathfinder mechanics where reviving somebody is incredibly expensive.
Okay.
Mind you, some people have died already, but there are conflicting opinions in game now as to what has caused it, whether it's a thing that will recur, things like that.
Is it a good thing even?
Yeah.
One guy was like, even though he has seen someone die, he was like, no, they didn't actually die. They just disappeared for a little bit. They're fine. They came back. They didn't actually die. It took him, one of the people he saw, getting eaten by a shoggoth, and then him pooping out essentially his skull for him to actually go, and then the guy coming back was like, okay, people are coming back from the dead now.
So the first event we put a resurrection stone, super standard fantasy LARP mechanic of, oh, if you die, you come out of this stone after some time.
Yeah, if you die, go wait by the rock.
Then come out after a couple
poops out
minutes.
alive people again.
Yeah. But so that way there was a good mechanic for us to be like, oh, yeah, the thing's over there because you're all playing our game and we want you to have a good time. We wanted death to be part of the system, not a punishment. And I hate single death games with a passion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that that's an experience that some people want,
Yes.
but I personally am not one of them either.
That's fair.
Speaking as someone who got hosed over by a single death system at Aura,
Yes.
it is not fun, even if you think it's fun.
Oh.
Like,
Because
I
imagine it's a fun system until you've died.
well, the issue is...
Because actually, to that point, it's like, oh, it's super intense, and then you die, and you're like, well, that character's done.
There was 3 years of paying for events just down the toilet.
The thing is, I also got taken out by a player killer who who was doing it specifically because he wanted to put one over on the director because he was having an argument with him. So he went out and killed every single newbie that was there.
And the
First
death
event
stayed?
this
And
happened.
the death technically stayed. They found me in hell. So
Okay, sure.
They did something cool for you.
it was something cool for me, but at the same time, then I didn't level for
4
4
events.
games.
Yeah. There were other issues going on in your experience.
So, but when everyone, like, I know Dystopia Rising, at least on the East Coast, they were the first LARP, to my knowledge, to start like the death scene of like when you die the first time, you'll get a little personal role play that makes it look interesting, like you coming back to life. They'll explain it. That's what I was told. Other games started doing that, like Doomsday has also done like the little death thing. I don't really know how it was, but someone would read you something, you get a choice. Ours is you sit in front of the one deity in our game who controls the lives of all mortals, and
His name is Where.
For Waerloga.
Ooh.
It's like it's his plane or something.
He created mortals and all of mortal kind.
Is that like public knowledge?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's the god of
Absolutely.
mortals.
And Fate.
So there's the 22 major
You
arcana.
can see how much research I did. Like I looked through, like, bits
I
of
knew when
rules
you
and
guys
that.
started.
There you
like
go.
that's it.
Yeah.
We have very little written for lore, so it's okay.
Oh no, that's not entirely true. We got like 2 pages worth of lore.
I know Kit McKittrick is your biggest fan. I do
right.
know that too.
Which is good because we are Kit McKittrick's biggest fan.
I mean, some LARPs have like 5 pages of lore that they expect you to read all of it and remember everything.
Yeah.
We're like, here's some basics. That's really all you need.
No, that's good. I mean, look, especially if you're starting out, the one thing you want to do is make it as simple as possible for everybody. And it sounds like everybody's having a great time.
We
Including you guys,
Yes,
which is-
no, I'm very glad to be running the game now. Like,
We had a lot of experiments we wanted to do in terms of LARPing.
some worked, some didn't.
Yeah.
We thought 15 people were going to come to our first event. We had 25. I was like, wow, we're already beating expectations. And we've only gone up since then. Our last event, we had 54 players.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for
That's
our 5th
awesome.
event, that's actually really good, actually. Most LARPs that are either starting up around this time or have already started are barely cracking 20 to 30. And I'm being generous with that number in some cases for some games.
Well, I mean, we're also in an area where there's a lot of games
saturation.
and a lot of games that have been around for a long time.
Absolutely. So we don't mind being someone's side LARPo.
At all.
At all.
We will be more than happy to be that LARP you go to every other month because we run every other month.
Yeah.
So you can go to your main game where you're super invested, you've been there a decade, and you can come to our game every once in a while and just chill out and have a good time.
Nice.
And that's been working really well for us so
that
far.
seems like a niche that you think would have been filled before now.
It's not.
Oh, we actually had that pointed out to us. That was there's too many fantasy LARPs flat out in New Jersey anyway. But the question was, why are we being more successful than the 3 other ones that started technically before us?
And even then more successful in the short run.
In the short run, yeah, we've only been a year. That can change drastically next event. Who knows? People might hate us. We don't know.
But the big thing is that
Way to think positive.
our niche right now is, hey, we're cheap, we're easygoing, we don't have drama. And you'd be surprised how many people are like, really?
Fresh start.
Fresh start.
Feeling, yeah.
No jackassery?
So
It's incredibly rare for a LARP to start up that's not in some way, shape, or form a revenge LARP.
Oh yes, the
yes,
the
so
dreaded
we're,
revenge LARP.
so we're not a spite LARP, and I will say that because I still currently go to my main game, Nocturne, which I've been going to for over a decade. I haven't stopped going. I don't think I've missed an event since we started running Waerloga.
The directors come to our game.
The directors of Nocturne come to our game.
And they seem to have a good time.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that is something that happens a little bit in my experience. Is directors of all these games do try and go as like a show of support to other games.
Yes. And
Like
they-
I know that a friend of ours that runs Doomsday actually like made a point of giving a like, hey, if you've got an event that you're running or you're involved with, share it with our community.
Oh, and we did so actually,
Yeah.
which got us a couple players.
Yeah. We're also
people were
open to
aware
other
of us.
people advertising on our little group too.
Yeah, there's I don't think so much around here anymore. There's that weird assumption that you're trying to steal players from each other.
We actually have gotten warnings from other players about new people coming to our game, but because we've so far given everyone the whole, hey, listen, we're just here to have a good time. We charge $35 for our game, which is for the full weekend. You get, the full. You don't get anything less for paying $35. The average LARP cost right now in Pennsylvania, New Jersey area is around $45 to $60.
Right.
We're the cheap game, but cheap is the weird way of putting it, because it's not like we don't try on props and we don't just put a sign on people that says I'm an NPC and then say get out there.
Right.
I've seen that game.
But our props...
You're not cheap. You're inexpensive.
Yeah, that's the better word.
That's the
We're
better word.
affordable.
We're affordable.
Yes.
Like, our first costumes were things like felt masks.
Yeah.
Felt masks cut out to look like a fire thing, so that way, like, I could look at someone's face and go, oh, it's red, and it looks like a flame.
Right.
They're on fire, so they're either on fire or a fire elemental. I can probably guess.
Have you guys already, I know that you guys were LARPers for a while before running your own game, so you had an amount of LARP stuff already.
Absolutely.
Has the pile of LARP stuff just grown exponentially
It has
now that you have to,
tripled.
We have our own
supply
storage
other
unit
people?
for it now.
Yeah, we have,
we have a 10 storage unit.
yeah, we were keeping everything in each other's basements for a while after our first 2 events, I think.
Since our
And by
apartment
basement,
is
you
a
mean
basement.
our apartment, yeah.
And I was being generous. So,
Our mom is very thrilled to get a lot of that stuff out of her basement as well.
yes, absolutely.
I see that she's like a very big part of what you guys
Yeah,
do.
dude, I love seeing your mom, posting the photos that she took, and...
Yeah, she's been really great in helping. Like, she still doesn't
I mean, your
understand
mom is
LARPing.
lovely in general.
Oh, thanks.
Aw. She doesn't understand LARPing, though. Like, she'll come there. She loves Renaissance fairs. She loves watching, like, Renaissance-based time period things and understand. But as soon as she's, like, the disconnect between there's no screen in front of her seeing characters to then just her standing there watching people roleplay around her.
But she's had people role-playing in her basement for decades.
Yeah.
But
In
she
her
does
basement, not with her.
She just doesn't understand LARPing.
Like, she says when she's doing it, she feels dumb. And that is not something I think that you can actually help, except for doing it more and more and
She's
more.
not used to saying, I'm this character.
Does she play a character?
She sometimes does, actually, yeah.
Yeah, she's played... She asked to play something that's relatively non-combat, and what we gave her was essentially the closest we get, which is the doctor type thing.
That's the
And
usual go-to.
Yeah.
I explained how to do some of the doctoring skills, and it basically is just you put your hands on somebody to represent you doing medical things to them.
And then she hated that.
She hated that because she just stood there with her hands on them going, I feel stupid.
And then I explained to her the basics of role-playing, and then she immediately went, this makes more sense, and then said, man, Ken's an asshole. So I got the good boy points.
To be fair, she also asked me that question in the middle of other things happening.
Oh, I'm well aware, but it's still, I got the good boy points. So,
Sure.
current favorite son.
Current favorite stuff.
Nice.
Karen also.
Is there like a trophy that you guys pass back and forth?
Well, actually, on her father's cell phone, he has a picture of like all of his kids, and if he swipes it slightly to the left or slightly to the right, depending on who's the favorite at that time.
I do want to add in all his children. He has 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, Ken, and our half-sister Shiloh. I don't need to make it sound like he's been fucking around middle Pennsylvania. So, I mean, he might have more kids. I don't know. He might. He was a hippie.
The acknowledged trio.
Yeah. We're the 3 kids he knows about.
The official ones.
Yeah.
You guys are canon.
Yeah.
But, alright, the other thing that we quote-unquote based our LARP on, which we were driving, again, home from Harrisburg, and this was before the Blood Point thing, we were like, man, you know what's cool?
Wow!
Oh, I can't believe the revelations I've heard.
Oh God, why?
So,
I need to lay down.
so we're gonna...
If only I was a player of Waerloga right now.
Somebody give me a cigarette. I need one.
So,
anyway.
You're reacting to our plot twist, Kime.
So I don't think we necessarily need to cut it in half, but in half that didn't make sense for a statement either. But I wanted like one of the death cards makes you.
Keep this in. I'm just
Fair
gonna
use, fair
bleep.
use.
I'm gonna bleep everything you just said.
There we go.
And then that way they're like, what did he say?
I like that answer better
I like
actually.
it.
So yeah, one of the death cards.
You're welcome.
Of the 22 possible options you can get makes you.
Hey, are you digging on the smooth sounds of Old Man and Skinny Guy? Look, what I'm really asking you is, do you like what you hear? If you like what you hear, become a patron. You can go to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/oldmanskinnyguy and find all these nifty rewards that only you can get as a patron. You'll get access to all of our episodes and any bonus materials earlier than when they're scheduled to drop. You'll also get some sneak peeks at some artwork and video that Skinny Guy and I are putting together. And let's face it, that contribution also helps us to stay sustainable. All we're looking to do is to keep providing an avenue for the gaming community and also entertainment as well. So again, if you like what you hear, become a patron today at www.patreon.com/oldmanskinnyguy. And now, back to the show.
Years of
have
roleplay.
a dominate ability in your game?
Yes.
There are only a couple ways to do it. The big one is this social one where you literally talk to someone for 5 minutes straight and technically you have
It's 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes.
It's a lot. That one is hard to do.
Like, just to explain what I mean by a domination ability, it's where a character uses an ability on another character, and character one now can tell them to do whatever they want.
It's still within reason. Like, obviously, we are not a sexual roleplay game. So if you try to do something creepy, we'll kick your ass out.
Yeah.
No, well,
Absolutely. That's very.
Sadly, that
I feel like we alluded
no
to
warning.
that sort of.
I believe it also
the
states
assumptions that people have when they go to game, or when we were talking to Shannon
Yeah.
about we had when we interviewed Shannon, we had an entire conversation about cosplay is not consent,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
weird that people make assumptions that inappropriate social behavior is just okay because I'm
at LARPs.
pretending.
Yeah, it's at
Yeah.
LARP, so it's not real.
Right.
Sorry.
Dominate specifically says, because we use a keyword system of you are in this effect, this is how long it lasts, and this is generally what it has to do. Dominate cannot force you to do something that is like abjectly.
Your character has. If you have an out-of-game problem with what they're saying, you have 100% right to say no.
Yeah.
If they tell you go kill someone, technically, yeah, you'll go do it. Doesn't mean you're good at doing it. Maybe you didn't build a character that's good at killing people. Maybe you played a pure scholar. You can do that in our game. A lot of games don't let you do that.
Use a weapon, so realistically, your character's just walking up and vaguely slap fighting
you
at
role
them.
play someone saying I slap you really hard,
Dude,
or if you do
that's
the
my favorite.
or you do the pro wrestling. As I'm gonna ruin that mic feed now.
No, that's fine.
It also doesn't shut off your own abilities.
the audience-
It's not like you become a zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can talk.
And let's face it, we're only talking to Kevin right now. Kevin is our only listener.
We're gonna
So-
have
Hi,
to stop
Kevin.
explaining
Whoa,
who
whoa.
Kevin is.
Whoa, I put down $2 in that Patreon, so I was guaranteeing that I would be on here. That's not true. I put down that $2. I was your second Patreon.
Yes,
okay.
and thank you for that.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate
I'm
that.
paying for that good spot. That interview that you said I was going to do anyway.
That advertisement budget.
Yes, yes.
$2.
$2.
I guess I could charge the LARP for it. I'm not going to.
It's a LARP expense.
It's a business expense. Yeah, just write it off. It's fine. I'll write you a receipt. It's good.
Okay.
Can I have that in triplicate?
Back to how we created the LARP. The other thing that was inspiring the LARP. We particularly enjoy the pool systems of something like Nocturne.
What the hell was that hand?
He was
I was
telling you to
telling
not
him
hit.
not
I
hit the
did
table.
this.
I was telling him not hit the
Yeah.
table. You gave me the same hand symbol.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, I'm making a chopping motion for the recording, by the way.
There you go.
So,
Visuals are really good for an audio medium.
yeah, it's really good.
Dude, I
Anyway.
used air quotes before.
Shit, you did.
So,
Fair. Air quotes are audible.
so we enjoy that pool system. Someone being able to do something for an amount of time, and then you have that pool. It's not like an other LARPs where it's a tag system where I've got 3 uses of
Block.
where I can not take damage 3 times.
Instead of my period, and I only get back those uses after 6 hours. We have a pool system, so you learn the ability to block. I mean, obviously, if you can physically out of game block a weapon with your in-game weapon,
Right.
you're fine. I've been to a game that didn't. Yeah, it was weird. Shields didn't let you block weapons. No, they didn't block skills. That's what it was.
Okay.
Even though I still put my shield in the way, though.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of alright with that.
Like,
It was-
I-
It depends on the skill, in my opinion.
Yeah.
but
I mean, the reason I think I'm okay with this is because a lot of fantasy games that I've gone to,
Yeah.
shields are like magic sponges. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
if a spell hits your shield, you take
We do
it.
have
that's us.
the mechanic of if a spell touches any part of you, the tip of your cloak, your shoe, you physically bat it out of the way with your sword.
Your outrageous hairstyle hits it.
You took the spell.
But
Please tell
But
me.
anyway,
Please,
we-
outrageous hairstyles are part of your game. Like.
I mean, we actually haven't had any outrageous hairstyles yet, but I'm hoping.
I think
I'm hoping.
technically
we get.
outrageous hairstyles are a part of any game.
We have a fairy race, so I'm just waiting.
Okay.
Any fantasy.
All right. I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so the pool systems are in there, but they're low. Like
Yes.
for compared to other games, they're very low. Like I would be surprised to ever see someone hitting a pool in our game that isn't hit points
over 30.
over 30.
And now for context there, like, I'll say block cost you 2 of your power points. Everyone starts with 5 power points, no matter what.
Okay.
So block, you can call block, and if you don't have the pull, you just can't call it.
Yeah.
And there's just like a system that
Yeah, you
out of
only-
combat amount of time.
We
or
have
something.
resting and meditating. If you are resting, which is literally just like
You're
hanging
sitting
around,
down, having a drink
shooting the shit, whatever, you regain some of that power back
every minute.
every minute or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Meditation
reasonable.
is actually meditation, where if you want mana back, you go
You
find
sit
a
somewhere,
quiet place,
You find your
pull out
center.
your crystals,
Pull it, do your hand, throw up your gang signs.
Stand inside of a
it
waterfall.
gives,
Yeah,
it gives
I
them
mean,
their
I
pull
wish-
back, like, pretty readily, too. The fun thing about that is that we get to always assume that the players are at full strength at all times.
Yeah, that sounds like a really forgiving.
So
It
that
just
way-
means that they can't fire off all those abilities simultaneously.
Yeah.
They get to do them
Yeah.
a lot, just spread out through the entire.
Nothing is worse than playing a caster and being like, well, it's been an hour, I'm out of mana, and for the next 6 hours, I can do nothing.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it gives us the ability to formulate mods based on full player strength, so we don't have to go like, oh, it's like 2 hours before the period change. The players are gonna be like just completely blitzed.
This is a
What can we
two-part
send
mod.
out?
Yeah, this is a 2-part mod where part 1 was heavy combat, and then we have the next thing being a spellcasting thing. Oh, all the spellcasters are out of mana because the big fight happened first, so now no one can do
Anything.
the second half of our entire adventure.
Exactly. So everyone can go hard all the time.
And then sit down for 5 minutes.
And with how big our campsite is,
Sometimes
it's
you
very
gotta
small.
go hard, then you take a 5-minute break, you go hard again.
Yeah.
You gotta pace it.
And we're not the first game to have a wrestling mechanic.
No, we're not.
Oh.
Aura actually had one for mana specifically, for mages only,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
which is good. I think
If you're
people
mage.
being able to do stuff continually is important. Otherwise, you are bored.
I'm a big advocate of, regardless of what your character is, the thing that your character does, you should always be able to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I've been to games that have point systems, and they're usually based on a period, which is an amount of hours in the day, like 6 or 12 or whatever it is. That at a certain time you get all your stuff back, and I am a first level healer, and for me to use my healing spell costs me some of my points, of which I have very few, and I healed 3 people as my first time at this game.
And you're donezo.
And for the next 6 to 12 hours, I'm just walking around. I don't have any cool in-game abilities.
Yep.
I'm still role-playing, still involved in the story or whatever.
You're still
but
doing stuff. You're
I'm
still
not,
hopefully doing
I'm,
stuff.
I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not necessarily able to do that thing that I want my character to be doing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very impotent feeling.
Very, yeah.
We do have people at our game being pure spellcasters, not carrying a weapon, or just being pure non-combat entirely, like someone's just a smith. They've taken every smith skill in the game and are working on alchemy now. So all they do is craft
Yeah,
and
production.
roleplay. So going back, actually, again to the politics, our thing at our game. So if you want
Yes,
to be,
they are.
So if you want to be a non-combat person who goes there and sits down and says, "I'm going to be a noble from X land, and I want this law to get passed."
I'll ask you, Joey, because
Sure.
you go to every LARP ever. Have you been to Good Legends?
I have been. I actually just
Yes.
was there. Me and Kime were just there not too long ago.
I'm told that they have a whole political thing that was described to me as, yeah, and then if you want to be like a politician and do politics, you can do that. But I don't know about that because it's mainly the politicians that do that.
Yeah, they have a specific politics class. We don't have a politics class. You have.
We
you
have
you
one racial that essentially opens up politics to you, and
the
that's
easiest way.
the easiest way,
You can
which
still
is
do
just
it.
noble.
Or you could just,
You
be
can-
political.
Or you can
Yeah.
be political.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing
But
stopping you
being
from
a
doing
noble essentially gives you that foot in the door automatically.
it. If you so choose
choose.
to.
Anytime that I have to
Yeah.
explain what LARP is to people, I begin by describing it as a crazy game of tag.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
a good
that's
description.
a good way of putting
I
it.
say fantasy medieval reenactment, where you swing stuff at each other and you pretend like you got hit with a sword, and then which leads to the worst conversation of, so am I allowed to get like super drunk and come to this? No.
In Europe, maybe.
Europe, maybe.
Yeah.
I know
like-
Germany's big on that.
But for some reason, people
awesome.
also going back to the earlier statement you said about first-time LARPers think that you can get away for some reason with things that are not okay in today's society at all, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, I can go in there and I can just crack someone across the face with my piping supplies." And then when I go, "Oh no, you can't. You have to hit them not in the head," and they go, "Well, that's stupid." And they're like, "Do you want to be hit in the face?" And they go, "No." So why are you allowed to hit someone in the face?
Yeah.
And then it clicks in their mind that I don't want to get hit in the face.
So
Yeah.
so do you have a new player trainer?
That would be
We're starting
me.
You for the first bunch, and now I'm actually probably going to be taking that up
Yeah,
for a little bit with one of my new...
No.
We should cut the section where I just said, "Hey, I have venereal diseases." Let's just cut that out of the audio.
I'm gonna release it as its own episode.
Make sure it's named that.
Make sure
Joe
his name
Barnes
Joe
special
Barnes
cut.
has venereal diseases, and then I'm just ruined.
Do you have a way to name your episode, Jake?
There's your episode title. Boom.
Please don't name it.
Classic older brother tactics.
Please don't name this episode I have venereal diseases.
There's the name of the episode.
There you go.
Please don't name this episode I have venereal diseases.
In parentheses.
So yes, we had politics being an option. It's just an option that you can just do. You have to, if you are not a noble in the game, which you can just do through character creation, but it's a choice that you have to like. You're choosing to not have, and I'm not saying this to my current players. You're choosing to not have other cool racials to be just someone who gets to say I'm a minor noble of a land, instead of the ability to say have double long claws that deal your element and have other crazy abilities. You're choosing to have money.
What aspect of the game world do you want to be involved in?
Yeah.
And
For some people, at any game,
Yeah.
that's combat, and for some other people, it's not.
And so if you want to be less combat-y, being a noble's a thing, but you don't need to be a noble to do it.
Has anyone come in as a total fop yet?
No.
No, how are we?
A fop? No. We've had people show up as...
Pure commoners.
As commoners.
Yeah, we have
someone
commoners.
show up as he took... We start with 15 experience points, and buying the first two abilities of every common tree skill is exactly 15 points.
So
You can play the perfect common.
and the buy-in for every base class is just one of the first sets of 2 skills. So we have the ability to go into any class in the game at any point.
He actually let the game world and the other players dictate how he was building
how
his
he
character.
developed.
That is something. Not every game lets you do that. I'm glad that I think it's cool that we can do it.
Yeah. We have classes, but they're more in terms of you can
Like
choose what
archetypes.
classes you want.
Archetype would be a good description.
Yeah.
You it's just buy-ins to then go open a very large, a lot of options class,
Yeah,
and then you
'cause-
call yourself what you want.
Also,
Yeah.
there are no speed bump skills.
Yeah. I mean, it's the big
I mean, as
four.
far as we are,
As far as we consider
what
them,
we consider
there's
them,
no. But no, there's no skills that just say this gives me access to this.
Yes.
I mean, technically, you need to have is weapons a skill?
It is a skill. It's one.
It's
XP.
one. It's one of your.
That's
15
your speed bump
experiences.
skill.
That is the only one, and even then,
But
I
you
would say
still
it
get
lets
to
you do
constantly
something
do
with it.
damage.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I don't consider it a speed bump skill because it's one of the buy-ins to get the warrior class. So it's the thing you want to be doing anyway.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to be a warrior, don't
You
buy it.
You don't
Yeah,
gotta take
you
it.
don't have to wield a weapon.
But that could be that. I guess so. The common tree, I guess, would be our speed.
And
bump.
even then, each one of
Yeah.
those do something. And every LARP is great, I think. It's just, we don't assume that our LARPs are perfect,
Oh yeah, that's
because every LARP does what they want to do with their stuff,
Yeah.
with their
Yeah.
game.
If it works for them, it might not work for us.
Yeah.
But we don't tell people that we're the best LARP. We
We did not come into this saying we're the be-all, end-all of LARPs.
We're
We
the
have the
new fancy
perfect
LARP in
system.
town.
Does anybody want to buy our system? It's $50 to buy our system.
That is
Then you
very-
can run under the Waerloga name. Just buy our rulebook.
Buy our rulebook.
Some low key subtweet shade you're throwing there at some
Yes.
games there, Ken Carnes,
Yes.
and I appreciate it.
Oh, yes.
Like I
Because,
said,
because
I
you're
have-
saying it, so I don't actually say people's names.
Yeah, I have no problem with people currently running LARPs.
Asterisk.
Politics. Now we're gonna go into. I said our LARP way back, $35. We have beds. We have air conditioning.
Heat.
Whoa,
Heat.
air conditioning?
Toilets,
Air conditioning,
showers.
toilets, showers.
The whole campsite is handicap accessible. All the paths are paved. It's lots of flat, grassy land. It's
Shout out
amazing.
to the Arc of Warren County who own the campsite
Yes.
and that we rented from. So it's an entire campsite that is meant for disabled people to be able to use. They run a summer camp. So that is the reason we cannot run in June and July, is because they're running the summer camp.
That's an okay reason.
That's
super great.
It's a pretty good
best
reason.
reason.
Especially with how the weather's been the past couple weeks, I don't mind.
Yeah, it was went through a
Back
terrible
to the
heat
air
wave.
conditioning?
Yeah. Because you have a LARP of everybody just staying inside and be like, there's mods. Hell nah.
Yeah, we have every cabin has beds, every cabin has air conditioning.
Beds with cushions.
Bed with mattresses, which
It's not
not
just a
every
chunk
LARP
of
has. So we are slightly spoiled at our campsite, but to counter our slightly
Dude,
spoiled
that's
campsite,
something that we've heard from multiple people already, is people being very excited about the amenities at their campsites.
yes.
Which I think speaks volumes to the fact that normally games tend to happen at Boy Scout camps and things like this, and those are meant to be bare bones. So
Very, very
you
rustic.
Have a wooden platform.
Generally, it's only summer, fall, accessible.
If there's a commode, you're lucky.
I'm an Eagle Scout. I will actually make that. So I was part of the Boy Scouts from whenever the hell I could start being a Boy Scout till 18.
you were an Eagle Scout?
Man, thanks. But I have my Eagle Scout card on me too. I can show it to you. It's great for the audio.
See?
I got a scan. We'll give all your deepest Boy Scout secrets.
So, I mean,
to the internet.
Joe Carnes, the Ronin Boy Scout.
The
by the
Ronin
way.
Boy Scout. That's a story for a very different time, and I will now pass it across the table. But continuing that, so I did.
For like a second, I thought there was like a chip in this, just
I
because of
wish.
the seal.
You gotta
So
track him.
I wish the Boy Scout credit card was a thing. I would have had great credit score by now. So I did my Boy Scouting. I got lifeguard
It's like a
certified.
legit
I did all this
credit
fun
card.
stuff. And now that I've been LARPing for over a decade, I hit the point in my life where I'm like, I could drive 2 hours to a new LARP, and I'm sure it's a great time, and I still have done so. Dead Legends being a perfect example. That's a 2-hour drive to Middle Pennsylvania. I like being able to go to bed at night and not wake up in a pool of my own sweat now.
Yeah.
And that
Also, between the hours of 2 in the morning and 10 a.m.,
on
no monsters.
Yes, we'll still do stuff.
Yeah.
but like we'll have a
We
safe
won't go
sleeping
into
time.
the sleeping
Yeah.
area.
No cabin raids, no
it's-
waking up in the middle of the night, no making you
If you
feel
go
like
to
crap
bed
the next day.
before 2 a.m., though,
Oh yeah,
That's
we're
on
still-
people
Yeah.
attack.
Yeah,
Good luck.
that's your own fault. You know the hours, you know the rules.
Our camp is very small, so if you decide to take that, roll those dice, no place is inaccessible to our NPCs.
So which then leads back to since it's a very tiny site, all the cabins are close by, so it gives this small town feeling that a lot of campsites don't have
So
because
nice.
they have to be spread out because Boy Scouts are assholes. As a former Boy Scout myself, most Boy Scouts are pieces of shit.
I literally saw your Eagle Scout card. You just handed it to me.
I know, but I really need to make that clear that as the main game I go to called Nocturne, they're on a Boy Scout camp. LARPers clean campsites better than Boy Scouts, and that's a very sad statement.
By a lot.
Considering the whole leave no trace, leave only footprints, all that kind of shit.
All the Boy Scout mottos.
Take only memories, leave only
That's what it
footprints.
is.
Yeah, and then a
I don't know, I
LARP
was
will
a
come
Girl
into
Scout
the
for like
site
2
one
weeks.
time and we'll
Footprints
wash
are
the
terrible
floors.
for the
We'll actually sweep
Glasses
out.
and cookies.
So our site doesn't rents to other groups. I shouldn't say they don't rent to other groups. They do, but we're the only LARP that has that site because we're the only ones they so far care to deal with, which has been very nice for us.
Which is sort of a sad state of affairs because
Yes.
a lot of those sites need patronage.
And we are
We
the
are starting
reason-
to be a venue for them to get other people now.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
Good.
we have now opened them up to the possibility of renting again. Their site says it's cost so much money. The site hasn't been updated since the 90s, so their price
That's
is
another
not-
thing that, as someone that has looked for sites to run LARPs at before,
Yeah,
it's difficult because someone made like a GeoCities page for this campsite, and like
That is the level of some of these
and
places.
they thought they were good.
'cause-
Yeah.
You know, it's got the guy from 7 years ago's like email address.
that's not valid anymore.
Yeah.
Even if you email him, he'll get mad.
If you are trying to start doing something or rent a place like that, you don't go based on the paper they give you. You actually need to talk to
Yeah,
somebody.
you have to haggle.
Yes.
Well, not haggle. You
No,
just talk.
haggle's the
You
wrong
just
term.
talk to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
You need to talk to them, and you need to.
you need
Say-
to get
say
the
what you're
reality of the
But also,
Yeah.
you need to be friendly about it, because if you come off too cold and businesslike, you're not going to get the deal you want.
Yes, because then if you're going to treat them like a business instead of like, hey, we're meeting for the first time, they're going to then treat you like a business.
We're actually really.
This is like basic communication.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of,
You'd be
a lot of
surprised.
of people don't do that.
Yeah.
We're
So-
actually not friends with, but we're on really good terms with the people that maintain the camp.
No.
Yeah.
With them, we're friends with the guy who maintains it. We're not the people who own it.
Yeah.
The super.
The
Yes.
super for the camp.
He
He's
loves
a
us.
really nice
He's a cool guy.
He basically is like, I don't care what you do as long as you make sure it looks nice afterwards. And he was surprised. We actually had an event over Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
And he was like, so you guys stay until Monday? And we're like,
If we
if we could have, we would have. We didn't know it was an option.
but now we
Next
do.
year.
So
Yeah.
next year, yeah, we're gonna do it probably.
Yeah.
And so for our game, we're doing a weird thing where people can show up Friday night at 6:00 as the earliest you can get on our campsite. We don't start playing though till Saturday morning at 11.
We shoot for 11.
We shoot for 11 a.m. And the reason we do that is because we're all working adults. I don't get home from my 45-minute car drive job till about 5:30 in the afternoon. So we need to all work our jobs, so we can't be on camp by 4 or 3 o'clock in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
I understand how that is. I got home to do this recording. We're sitting in my apartment right now. About half an hour before you guys showed up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was at work all day.
Yep.
And I've been up since 5 o'clock. I've been in Harrisburg giving
Ooh.
workshops.
Ooh.
So I get from home in
So
Bethlehem
you've literally been talking all day?
all fucking day.
It's amazing. Your
so
voice
it's
is not
great
heard.
practice, great
So.
practice for us.
You warmed up them pipes real good, though.
Oh yeah,
What
real
was I
good.
talking about? I promptly forgot.
We're friends with
our
the
start
people.
time.
Yes. Okay. So friends with the owner, but our start time we start at 11 a.m. Saturday morning, and then don't stop playing till Sunday noon ish, because they have so far they've had no problem with us running over because we then end at noon and then are there till 2 in the afternoon, making sure everyone's
Cleaning
clean
up, yeah.
and getting everything nice, and they've loved it. We take care of the site. I'm not going to say better than the camp owners because they obviously didn't know that it wasn't upkept.
Yeah.
But, people don't always take care of places that they rent, which sucks.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who have the mentality of, oh, I'm renting the site.
I don't have to keep up.
I'm not the one that cleans this place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're renting these sites, look at your agreement. A lot of times, you are the
do.
one that is cleaning these
And
places.
Yeah.
if you paid, we send in our money and we pay ahead of time, all that fun stuff. But if you paid via card or whatever, they can just charge you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll get an account thing that says, oh, $200 cleaning fee. And you'll go, oh, whoops.
Yeah, or if you keep leaving the place a wreck, they just won't rent to you anymore. Then you'll be
Yes.
sans a site.
All right, so I am generic, average Joe player.
Hi, Joe.
I'm
Joe.
Joe.
Hi, Joe. Joe.
No,
Joe.
this is a bad example.
Yeah. and I'm very
Yeah, we have that
very
here before.
intrigued by the air conditioning of your game, and so but I don't know. I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it. Where can I go to find all of this wonderful information about your air conditioned camp?
So you can go to one of
Waerloga.
two. You can go to the following two places. You can go to www.
Waerloga.
We're going to put up links, but
Waerloga.lefora.
LEFORA.com.
Yeah, that is our board. You can go there. You can find all the info you need for it most of the
On
time,
that website, there's also a link to then our Facebook group.
which is where you actually want to go because everyone uses Facebook pretty much.
And
Yep.
the boards get use, but they don't get nearly as much use as they should. Use the boards Waerloga players.
And we don't either as much, but
Use the boards where logo runners.
runners and runners.
I maintain them. Don't look at me.
be the change you want to see in the
But the
world.
biggest thing you
Yeah.
can find us on is literally just looking up Waerloga LARP on Facebook.
Yes.
We'll find us and there.
You'll find us there. We are at the moment a closed group.
Because we recently got our first trolls.
Yeah, that means we're established enough that random people on Facebook tried to join our Facebook group and then make fun of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Their trolling consisted of, we want to have fights between adults and children
animals.
and farm animals.
And then they tried to explain their joke on our Facebook group, and then we're
Those
like,
are the
"Are you
funniest
done? Are you
jokes.
done yet?"
It was the saddest attempt at a troll ever. They had a couple buzzwords and didn't actually plan it out at all, and just kind of just chucked it at the wall.
And then we banned the first guy, and then his buddy, who was already added at that point, tried adding 6 more people, and we're like, delete.
In that cute.
Problem solved. And so, but that was our first official, hey, we became big enough of a Facebook group. I think we're at 200 people so far.
Yeah.
Which we've actually had a revolving player base, not obviously 50 different players each time, but we've had new players, we
have our core and we really appreciate them.
yes,
Yeah.
they've been great to us so far. and honestly been adding to the world. Like most games starting up now. Oh wait, yeah, we said the links, so I still
and send them to us, and we'll make sure that they get on the website. We'll put them in the show notes. Everybody will have access.
One of our biggest ways I try and sell our game to people is that our game is not only our playground. Like we have that 2-page lore document, and that's it pretty much.
Like everything's very open ended. A lot of in Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. There is the gods, they have their domains, they have a small paragraph that says what they're about. You can interpret that 30 ways. We followed the same thing in our game. We have a god, he's the anti-slavery god, but he's also the ravenous murder god at the same time. He's all about super freedom. And whether that freedom is killing everyone or setting everyone free so that way nothing's ever bad in the world, that's up to you.
It's a special kind of nihilism.
So he's Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure, yeah,
awesome.
If vampire was like, the people who paid taxes and that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And also this god specifically hates all other gods. And so there's the hypocrisy of, yes, don't worship other gods, but it's okay to worship me.
So. We have one worshiper in-game.
Now.
Well, we have more now, but the first one that at least I'm aware of, he dresses up as the King in Yellow of Cthulhu parlance.
So he has the full yellow getup that's really good. And we're a business first, and we're here to do hard law. That's not true, please.
Anyway, so the world exists in to use Dungeons and Dragons parlance, a point of light kind of world.
Oh, yeah.
Where there are specific areas of the world where civilization is.
Yes.
Everywhere else is fucked. The world is super adventurer friendly.
Yep.
One of the big things in our world is that everything that is not civilized is covered with this Dark Souls, Demon Souls, mist, fog, that basically says if you enter this area, you die.
I always kind of felt more like the Legend of Legaia Mist, where it's just chock full of monsters.
That's a good one too.
That's a good one too. But it's generally like if you wanted to put it in like WoW terms, that's the high level area, as I use air quotes. So it's the high level area of. I mean, everyone in our game, we've been running less than a year. There are no high level players.
The highest level player is like level 2.
Level 2, and for anyone who might be interested in our rule system. You start with 15 experience points, and every level is 20 experience points. So the most people have maybe is like 50 experience points, and that's the top right now. And we're about to go into our 1 year, and we've had players show up for every event.
Yeah.
But I've asked, and this is me tooting my own horn here. I've asked anytime a new player comes with the game, and I said, "Do you feel like your character can do something?" And so far, every time the answer has been yes.
Nice.
And whether they do it particularly the best, probably not. You're a starting level character. You shouldn't be the best as a first level character. If you play D&D and then min-max your way into saying, "Oh, I can already kill Nyarlathotep,"
You can pun it to use a 3rd edition term that I'm guaranteed only like 50% of people.
Maybe.
I got the joke.
So you're going to stand side by side 600 peasants, and in Dungeons and Dragons, it is a free action to drop an object. So you have
the railgun.
So you have the peasants stand side by side, and because of the law of speed and force and all that fun stuff, they will continually do the drop action to the square directly to their left, and because one round is 6 seconds, you had an object pass between 600 people in 6 seconds, and then whoever's on the left of that dies immediately due to the impact.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can do those in Dungeons and Dragons if your DM is, I'm going to say, stupid.
You can't do that. You can't do that in Waerloga.
But you can come to our game and say, "I want to be a healer," and you can have mana and you can heal people and make sure that they keep fighting and keep you alive, and you can keep doing that through the whole weekend. We are not going to stop you from playing your class. Now then, if you try to come to our game and say, "Oh, I'm a mass murderer and I'm going to kill everyone I see," I mean, you might kill someone, but then other people are going to then try to kill
There's
you.
a reason that mass murderers in real life have to be very cagey.
And
Because as soon as people know that you're there, they're going to stop you.
or if you're a mass murderer, and this is not mass murder tips.
That's a different podcast.
Mass murder tips by Joe Carnes.
So leave
that
the
could
area.
also be a potential.
I have a whole mass murder tips.
So, continue with what I was saying.
Yes,
before.
please go.
So, our game world is very open. That points of light system means that 2 towns in-game could be a couple miles away from each other, but not interact with each other for about 100 years because of that mistiness between them.
Impassable.
So, it's also Planescape inspired from old Second Edition Dungeons & Dragons, where the planar economy and the planar society actually matters.
And
So,
cross, yeah.
so like elementals from other planes will come to the mortal realm and just start doing stuff because they're powerful enough to do it.
They can be stopped, of course. So
Yeah,
that's
So when a player comes in and says, "Hey, I want to have my character be from this culture or be inspired by this character," we just say, we look at it, we look at their backstory, and as long as it doesn't specifically conflict with anything we've already established,
and as long as it isn't racist.
it isn't racist.
Because
Yeah.
I've been to games where we're still getting past that weird point where it's like, I'm a gypsy, and we're like, can you not?
Yeah.
We'd rather you didn't. I know personal friends who are like, I'm a Romani from Romania, and I have no problem with the term. I'm like, I know that you don't have a problem with it. Someone coming to our game might, and we'd rather not lose business before we even get a chance to show them our business.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything like
But
that in
it's
our game.
important for us to basically say we're building this world together because we don't want.
Yeah, that adds agency to all of your players.
We've already had multiple players show up, say, "I'm from the
The elemental plane of fire.
Elemental Plane of Fire Trade Company." What is it?
The Four Worlds Trade.
The Four Worlds
Four
Trade
Worlds.
Company. Sure, you are a member of that company.
Your father is a real fire person, and you are immortal still. But so that way they had
Trade
they
connections
had
that they've
trade
actually
connections.
used in the game. And
We've let people say, I want to have this background thing, and I say, you can have that background thing, but understand that we are under no obligation to say, yeah, your thing works every time.
and we're under no obligation to say your thing supersedes
Everyone
anything.
else's thing.
Like if someone were to say, "I want to play the princess of such and such land," it'd be like, probably not.
Yeah, we actually had to specify, oh, I'm being noble, because certain races can have nobles and whatever. And we're like, what does that mean? I said, you're at best a knight, or you're a minor landless noble who's the second son of someone else. So you're not even getting the inheritance. Mainly, people have written their backstories, and with approval are the first descendant who would get something, but that's then us saying, oh, hey, your in-game father died, womp womp. You made that choice, apparently.
Like, oh, my father's a defender of a god. It's like, okay, sure. I mean, but who cares here?
But that God's not, that your defending God is not here, so we're gonna be over here now. And if you say, I go get my super powerful dad, we go, alright, you leave and then don't come back.
That's a thing that you see among many types of role-playing games, is people write the elaborate backstory. And I've never been an elaborate backstory guy.
Oh, I'm a single paragraph.
Because the game is what the adventure is about,
Yeah.
and that's what you're going to talk about, and that's what you're going to be interacting with.
For the purpose-
Engage with the game in front of you.
We
Yeah.
try and add character backstory things to situations when we feel it appropriate, but just because you send us a backstory doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be
Yeah.
able to
I'm-
interact
I
with it.
But,
want... sorry, go on.
Oh, I wanted to give the example from last event where we used a backstory thing, where we had Davy Jones, pretty much, rolling into town with evil ghost pirates, putting the black spot on people he has deemed to be betrayers. There was a big in-game in-game world. Shut up. Ken's making fun of my hand gestures.
I was telling you to pull them back, actually.
Oh, okay. Anyway, a big world reason for this all to be happening, but the way we seeded it happening was we were like, well, one of our characters is a pirate, retired pirate, she emphasizes. And so we were like, well, how about the person seeding this plot will be her first mate, rolling into town and being like, hey, you need to hide me, I'm being chased by ghost pirates. And that's how we seeded it, because, I mean, it wasn't entirely her plot then, but she had this little extra addition onto this plot that everybody was going to have to deal with, this extra connection there. It was just a little thing, but it was enough that it meant tons to her.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I said, and to technically this contradicts what Ken said slightly, which is, if you give us a backstory, we will give you something back. It may not be a 3-event long storyline, but it might just be the whole, hey, this person you said from your backstory wants to kill you, they're here now. and they want to kill you. So you need to resolve that situation how you so desire.
No,
Yeah.
I meant it more in terms of someone says, I'm such and such lord from whatever. If it's not relevant.
Oh, it's not relevant
gonna-
to then we're,
Yeah.
we're not included. But if you
Yeah, we determine
but
how
you
important you are.
But you, as people running the game, writing the stories, want to use interesting hooks where
from
you
other people's
Exactly.
backstories. If you write us something and we think it's cool, we want to always give you something back.
We are super player oriented and trying to make sure that they have something to do and feel like they are in charge of what's happening.
Yeah,
I
we
think
never want our
that's-
players bored. We always want them to be engaged.
And I think that's actually a good place to kind of we're at time, but that's an excellent place to end because that's what this is about. You guys run an awesome game. You're super inclusive. The community it sounds freaking awesome. I love the air conditioning aspect.
We have heat in the winter.
Yeah.
And now
Running water in
That-
all of the buildings
and
except for two.
now
Toilets in
I
most
am
of them,
even
showers in most of them.
now I am even more enticed. Should my Harrisburg trips start to slow down, I may actually show up at an event.
You should, Chris. We'd
So
love to have you.
yeah, I would love it. So any final thoughts before we kind of close it out?
Any thoughts that you have for people who are running games, people who might want to run games?
Yes.
Players going between places?
Joe Carnes has
you-
Between
opinions.
games?
If you want to start a LARP
Right now.
right now, it's it might be a bit of a bad idea. The LARP bubble is expanding and might burst.
I
You
would
should
say
wait
it's
for the
bursting currently.
Wait for the burst because there's a lot of games right now that I'm not going to say are.
I think that's probably advice relevant to our area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
that's
gonna
it.
start a LARP, don't do it in New Jersey.
All right. Yeah. Don't do it in New Jersey.
Check
Good
your
idea.
area for how many LARPs
If
there
you're
are.
going to start a LARP and maybe you don't have the financial options that everyone says they have, they don't. Run every other month. Run every quarter. Start small. You don't have to be the best. You have to be fun.
Do everything in your power to not compete with other large LARPs. I've seen startup LARPs try and directly compete with other large LARPs in the area and then be like, why aren't we getting players? It's because your playing player base, it goes to another LARP. Almost no one LARPs exclusively at a single given LARP.
Now, a lot of people are 2 to 3 LARP players, but they're always going to have their priority game. Going back to what we said in the very beginning,
And there's only so many weekends in a month.
Yeah.
we don't mind being everyone's side bitch.
Side ho Joe Carnes.
Yes.
I don't like that. I don't like that show title either.
I was like, Joe, side ho, air quotes,
There you
Carnes.
go. All right.
There
So
you go.
final thoughts for you.
Final thoughts.
Name the episode air quotes.
There you go. I guess really important is to let your players tell your story with you. Like, it's not
That's a good one.
your story, it's their story. You're giving them a framing device for their stories.
You have a world. Let them play in it.
Exactly.
Player agency matters.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you guys for coming and indulging us. And I say this to everyone that we interview
Yay.
with, is
We're
stop.
everyone.
Thank you for indulging us because you didn't have to come and sit down and bullshit with us. But we're so glad that you did.
Thanks for having us, letting us
thank
shoot the shit.
Yes, no, absolutely, and we should do this again.
Absolutely.
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 I'd like to
Wow.
talk about tabletop sometime with you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
buddy.
we're
I
gonna-
want to talk about
yeah.
Dead
Yeah, can we
Race.
just do a Deadlands episode together? Because I am so
that
on
would,
that.
yeah, absolutely.
Got the
absolutely.
shirt.
For anyone
Yeah.
that doesn't know what Deadlands is, it's a role-playing game. It's great.
It's Weird West.
Amazing.
Yeah.
1996. I was 4.
Oh, God, Joe, I'm so old.
with that, I guess we'll call this a success.
Yeah.
And,
thank you guys for coming. We'll figure out our role-playing tabletop discussion in the future.
Absolutely.
But for now, we've been Old Man Skinny Guy.
I'm Old Man.
I'm the Skinny Guy. We'll catch you next time.
Take care.
I'm Joe Carnes.
Here is where you'll find all of that useful information, all of our social media. You know you want it. You've been waiting for it for the whole damn show. So, You can follow us on Twitter at Old Man Skinny Guy, all one word. You can like and share our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/oldmanskinnyguy. I think you're starting to see a pattern here. And finally, you can find Skinny Guy's bulletin board along with a lot of other information on our website, which is www.oldmanskinnyguy.wordpress.com. And remember, you can always find out more information by going to any of those places. We'll always keep those as updated as we can. If you have any questions, you can email us at oldmanskinnyguy@gmail.com. Or you can just leave a message on Skinny Guy's bulletin board. That's probably the best way to get a hold of us, but any of those places are fine. So we hope that you'll follow us, you'll like us, you'll share us, and at the very least, you're listening to the show. Thanks for staying this long. Take care.